Hi and welcome to the first Suan Sook Homestay Gardens video for 2024. I thought I'd start the year off with a tour of our garden. We've been here for about 6 years now and really love it and really love working in the garden and just being in the garden, and it has really transformed a lot since we were first here. When we bought the land it was an orchard, and since then we've changed it. It's transformed. We've done a lot of hard work on it. So come and have a look and we'll see what I can show you. Right here, at the top of the section, we've planted quite a few trees and shrubs, and we've got the canal that runs along the roadside. This is bringing water to the rice fields and to the orchards around here. We've lined it with black polythene a couple of years ago because we were concerned about the amount of seepage of water coming into the section under the ground and around our house, and the polythene lining has made a huge difference. It's made it much better. So this is where we come into our place, and where guests will come in when you're coming to visit. So this is where it's at. This behind me now is what we call our family cottage or our family house. There's a couple of bedrooms in there, nice little living area and bathroom and patio area, and then it is a nice comfortable place for people to relax and enjoy. And then through here I'll just take you to show you this one tree that we've got here that I've cut. This is actually the last of the trees from the original orchard from this property that I've taken out because it was just getting a bit too big and overshadowing some of the other plants that we'd planted, and it was just time for it to go. It was sort of reaching up into the power lines and not particularly attractive, so we took it out and making good use of what's left of it to fire up the pizza oven and make some delicious pizzas. So it's making room over there. We've got a Lilawadi, a frangipani that's got a couple of flowers on it, no leaves at the moment, but they'll come soon, and then all manner of other shrubs and trees and plants in here. And it's always in need of a bit of work, as it is at the moment. It's continually changing and continually growing. This is looking particularly beautiful at the moment. The colour here is just spectacular. I love it. I'm not a great one for being able to tell you the names of these plants, but there you go. That's just a matter of enjoying them for what they are. And we stay here with some of our pets. We've got a dog here. This is Lamut, and he is my buddy. He likes to come and lick me, especially if I'm a bit sweaty. And we've got a couple of other dogs. And we've got a pet pigeon that flies around and enjoys herself. And enjoys thinking, I think she thinks she's one of our dogs too. So then down in this direction, the front of the house here, and we've got a couple more guest rooms there. We've got motorcyclists in at the moment, and just an area in there that keeps the house nice and shaded and nice and cool from the sun in the morning. And so I'll take you down and around the section a little bit and talk to you about what we do, what we want to do here. Like I said, it was an orchard before, and even prior to that it was rice fields. So both of these types of agriculture in Thailand, they use quite a lot of chemicals, so chemical pesticides and herbicides and fertilizers, and it's something that we wanted to get right away from. And so everything that we grow is grown organically. I think my wife uses a little bit of chemical spray to stop the mildew and mold growing on her cacti, but certainly anything that we produce for food doesn't get any chemical on it whatsoever. Not too hardcore about it, we're a little bit relaxed sometimes, but it's only that one that I know of, and a little bit of bug spray and things like that for ants and termites and stuff. But generally, if I can, I'll do it organically. And try and sort of aim to stay inspired by permaculture techniques and regenerative gardening. So the more we do, the more we learn, the more we try and do our best to keep everything as clean and organic as possible. And one of the plants that I love the most, probably the plant that I love the most in our garden, is our bamboo, which is just delightful. It's one of the most fantastic plants. It's such a good additive to the garden because it looks so beautiful. It looks so fantastic all year round. Even now when it's starting to dry a little bit, and it hasn't had a lot of water recently, but it still comes and looks terrific. And whether it's a calm day like today or in the middle of a storm, it's always really interesting. It's always really quite satisfying. It's very peaceful down here. We've got bamboo on either side of the driveway, and it just is such a lovely, relaxing place to be. Bamboo produces 30% more oxygen apparently than most other plants do by volume. So it is a terrific plant to have in your garden. It also sequesters a lot more carbon than a lot of plants do. And we cut it and use it, and once it's spent, once its life is done and usefulness is finished in the garden, I then make biochar out of it, which is another fabulous thing that helps our garden and also brings that carbon back into the soil and holds it there. So it's really, really great for our carbon footprint instead of putting back into the environment what we take from it. And then down here in our favourite little place at the moment is one of our other dogs. This is Lamyai, and she's a special little girl. She was a gift to us from the man that we bought this land from originally, and she's just a lovely dog. She's about 6 years old now. We got given her just before we moved into the house, and this is her favourite place at the moment, is lying on the sand pile that we've got here. We've got some sand and some soil and some rocks, and over here we've got buckets full of the good stuff. This is the biochar, and this is all getting prepared to repot our cacti, which took a bit of a hiding this year when we had a storm. We had a couple of greenhouses here. If you've looked at some of our other videos, you would have seen the construction of those happening, and the way that the cacti were looking back then was fabulous. But earlier in the year, last year, we had a big storm and it totally destroyed the greenhouses. And these are grafted cacti. A lot of these are still on their grafts, so they need to be cut and changed. So you can see here there's the grafting section, and then the cacti are joined on the top and they grow quicker and better that way. During the dry season now, it's the right time to start separating these ones that are big enough and then to plant them in their own pots so that they can grow naturally. So these ones here have already been planted into their pots and are growing well. So we've got a bit of work to do here, but we don't always have time. And so here's our other pet. This is a little pigeon that has come to make its home here, and she likes to hang out with us when we're in the garden, and sometimes hang out with us when we're inside. She likes to think she's one of our dogs, I think. But she was abandoned, and when she was so young that she still didn't have feathers yet, so we've been looking after her for about a year or more now, and she's just really lovely and really friendly and really tame and kind of fun to have around as well. And so now we're at the very back of our section. Yeah, we've got a good bit of sunlight happening here at sunset. Let me see if I can turn around. There you go. So at the back there you can see that there's another canal running at the back across the boundary of our section, and that's bringing water again to the rice fields and to the orchards in this area. So the water comes down from reservoirs that are up in the mountains and is supplied well to the farms and the agricultural sites around here. As I said, mostly rice and orchards, but there's some people growing flowers and doing other vegetable gardening and stuff as well. And so the cacti look fantastic at this time of the night with the backlining. They're kind of a bit neglected, a bit overgrown at the moment because we're so busy with everything else. I don't think there's any flowers at the moment. It's the wrong time of the day, but the wrong season for it too. But some of them are just spectacularly coloured, just beautiful. especially in this evening light. They look magnificent. So this has been an interesting project, something new for both my wife and I to be doing, and it's mainly Punter, it's mainly my wife who's doing it, and she's very good at it, but neither of us have enough time to do everything that we want to, which is a bit of a shame. It'd be nice to have a few more hours in the day, or the wherewithal to employ people. But along the back here we've got the area we've planted some other shrubs, and then also the sun hemp that I planted earlier a few months back. I can't remember exactly at the moment when I planted it, but it is a nitrogen fixing crop. It's not a hemp, but it was used for making fabrics and rope and stuff like that, so that's where that name comes from. And the bees have loved it. It did have a real profusion of these yellow flowers, but most of them are gone now, and we're starting to get the seed pods coming on, and so they'll be producing a lot of seed. I think from now we'll start to see the birds coming down here and really enjoying those, but I hope that they don't eat them all and that we get some self-seeding again. And then here, this is where I pile up all my trimmings and prunings from the trees next to my biochar pit. So this is just the pit, the trench in the ground that I use to help me make the biochar. I've got some videos about that, so you can check those out if you want to learn a bit more about biochar and how wonderful it is for your garden. And it looks like our dogs have been running through here and flattening it out a bit. So yeah, this is all sun hemp along here that's really helped keep the weeds down, and it will be helping to improve the soil no end. When we first started in the vegetable garden, I'll take you up there soon, but when we first started the vegetable garden, we had planted some of the sun hemp in there originally, and it has helped to improve the soil no end, because as I said, you know, the soil had so much chemical and chemical fertilizer and weed killer and all sorts of stuff that it was really depleted. And so we've worked hard, and one of the things that we did, along with applying compost and manure to it, was to plant the sun hemp, which was really helped to build the structure of the soil and put some life and some goodness back into it. And the soil up in the vegetable area now is really fantastic. And this is another one of my little projects that I've also made a video about a while ago that hasn't really taken off as well as I'd liked, and needs the grass cut inside. But this is the little bamboo room that I'm creating. I think you can see it planted in a bit of a spiral shape there, and eventually once it's grown up it will grow probably 2.5 or 3 meters and form a little room inside there that you can then just be able to sit inside and enjoy a peaceful, quiet time for meditation, because the bamboo is just such a beautiful plant for enjoying that type of thing, just to sit in it in the quietness and the stillness. It's really, really lovely. So it was just an idea I had, something I've experimented with, a little bit of practical art in the garden to create a little room there. And so down in this area, this is a very low part of the section that is difficult for us to grow. I tried planting some vegetables down here and didn't have much success, and then we'd planted a few trees that didn't do very well, but we've discovered that the mango trees do really well down here, and it is because they don't mind having wet feet for a bit. So the mangoes are starting to flower, or this one's starting to flower now, which is pretty exciting. I think we're going to see some really good fruit on this tree this year, and possibly on some of the other ones. We've got some other mangoes over there, got an avocado over there, and there's another mango there as well next to the bananas. And so these have been quite happy here, even though it's a bit wet for them underfoot. So it's kind of interesting just to experiment and find out what likes to be what in what areas of the garden. And then of course here I did a little video recently about the rice straw. So this is rice straw that's come from about an acre of land, so about the same amount of land that we've got here actually. And we use this for mulching the garden and for making compost and just for keeping the weeds down around some of our other plants. So that area there is where the bamboo and the other plants are. This was where our pond was that we filled in. So the soil down there is just dirt. It's real rubbish. It's had there's no life in it whatsoever because it's been buried underground for many years and just been dug up and filled into the backfill of the pond. So we're working hard on that. We'll plant more sun hemp down there and add more rice straw and compost and other manure to it as well to try and really build that soil up and try and make the most of it. What are you doing up there, bird? It looks like you're going to fall off my hat. Don't land on my camera. Come on, come and sit on my shoulder or go away. Come on. Okay, up to you. And then up here is another very important part of the garden. This is my shed, and I've got a little an outdoor area and an indoor part of the shed. So this is my workshop area here. That is a place where I built a little solid little workbench and keep my gardening tools. Got my bicycle because I like to go for a bicycle ride in the morning, and so this is an important part of the garden. But area here that I've got a bit of work to do on and try and improve it. I want to try and hide this ugly wall and make it a little bit more interesting. I'm going to probably plant some more bamboo just in this area here because it will help to close the eye, or help to close the shed, or the view of the shed and this area back here, which is where we've got our potting pots and the compost, a compost heap, and then under here I've got my worm farm that needs a bit of attention, but that's a fabulous addition to the garden, is to be able to farm some worms and have them to help us improve the soil as well. And then just over here I've got what we call our farang herbs, our foreign herbs, some oregano and some rosemary, maybe some thyme up there, but I'm having real trouble really getting good results from that. They're not doing so well. I think they like cold weather a little bit more. So this time of the year is okay for them, but it's a bit of a challenge. Got some lemongrass along here and a pomegranate. And then over here we've got one of the other main features of the Suan Sook homestay, and it's our pizza oven. And this is where we do a lot of baking. A lot of hard work happens just here, but it's all good fun, and we're really working hard to improve our skills of making pizzas to make them all the more delicious as we can. And now I've kind of looped back around, and now we're coming down into the area that is the place that I spent a lot of time in. That's my vegetable garden. So back there is probably the piece of land that, or the part of our property that is the most fertile, and it is because we've worked really, really hard to bring it to a stage where we can grow a lot of vegetables in it. But like I said again, because it was so depleted, it had so much chemical put on it that there was just no life in the soil. So we have worked really hard. I had one older Thai guy coming to deliver some chicken manure to me once, and I'd had this theory. I asked him about it. I said, yeah, I think there's no worms. We've got no worms in the soil. And I said, I think it's because there's been so much chemical put on the land. And he just said, oh, yeah. And it was like, to him, it was given. It wasn't obvious. To me, it was just an idea. But he confirmed it. So we're working hard to bring back the life in the soil and to encourage the worms into the soil as well, so that they can help when we plant our vegetables. And here I'm really happy we've got some of my Uncle Leo's tomatoes. Uncle Leo was one of my great uncles who brought the seeds from these tomatoes back to New Zealand after the Second World War, and our family's been growing them ever since, and we're starting to get some fruit on them and beginning to look pretty good. Also got some really nice basil in there and some rocket that just tastes fantastic. It's got so much flavour. It's just quite incredible. The basil, I've had so much, I've been pulling it out and cutting it off and just dropping it. I need to clear that away, but it's just really overtaking from the tomatoes. It was overshadowing the tomatoes, so I wanted to take those out. Got some chili in there, got a couple of brassicas down there, some marigolds, and then the cucumber is growing really, really well this time, which is great. And then there's another tomato. This one here is like a cherry tomato that just self-seeded and is growing very, very healthily in there. And then some more basil of some type. It might be krapau, I'm not sure. And then, yeah, more tomatoes. And down here now I've got a lot of brassicas, and there'll be a mixture of collies and cabbages and broccoli in here. And then some silver beet and more tomatoes. But yeah, this section here is where we put a lot of work into the soil, into really building it up with lots of manure and compost. And as you see, we keep it mulched really well, mostly with rice straw. And here I've got a mixture of lawn clippings and leaves, just easier to spread around because I put this in after I'd planted the tomatoes. And then I've got more sun hemp in here as well too, that I'm just experimenting with to plant the tomatoes on the northern side and on the southern side, so some get the sun in the morning and some get the sun in the afternoon. And then over here we've got some papaya, and for quite a while I had no papaya in the garden. I'd managed to mess up and planted the papaya trees in the wrong locations, where it was too wet or too shadowy, or we had other problems with them, they didn't grow. But now we have an abundance, so we've got 3 trees that are just overflowing with papaya at the moment, but they're great. I love them when they're ripe. And of course the Thai people use them a lot when they make the papaya salad, the som tam salad, which is fabulous spicy salad that is made with the papaya, and it's great. So enjoy eating that, and we'll be eating a lot of that soon, I would imagine, because we've got so many papaya. And of course I'll let them ripen up too. I like them in the morning. Fabulous start to the day with maybe a banana sliced up with it, and some lime squeezed on it, and some yogurt. And here we go, we've got a lot of eggplant. I bought 20 baht worth of eggplant at the local market as seedlings, and I wasn't sure how many of them would come up well or survive well, but they are amazing. They're so resilient, they're pretty easy to grow. I think down here somewhere, yeah, I found an eggplant there that's even forming already. So even though they're really young, it's giving us some fruit already, which is great. Then over here we've got another type of, I don't know what it is, it's some sort of a local brassica. I thought I was buying at the market, I thought I was buying some cauliflower, some cabbage, and so I was waiting for them to head up, and they just didn't. They've just flowered. So I've just let them go because the bees enjoy them and they come to them and buzz around in the mornings, and I will be feeding the leaves to the worms in the worm farm, I think. And then I've got some other lettuce or maybe some silver beet or spinach or something in there. I can't remember what it was, but we'll soon find out as it grows. And yeah, some more papaya, more kapau, and then I've got a few more papaya down here, one older one, and then I've just recently planted 4 more. And then I've got something really special down here that my wife bought me recently. This is manuka. This is a New Zealand native that we've discovered that we can buy it in Chiang Mai now. So it's surprisingly cheap too, actually. They're only 200 baht each. So we've got a couple of these in here, and it'll be just really special to have a New Zealand native growing in our garden if we can manage it. So this is another thing that happens to the papaya. If the birds get to them and they're ripe before I get to them, then I just split them open once they've started to eat them, and then they'll just come and hollow them out and completely finish them off. Obviously they don't like the seeds too much or the skin, but there's nothing else left in there. That was, I think I put that on the ground a couple of days ago. So they enjoy that. They make good use of whatever is in the garden that we don't use, and then they'll come along and so when they're ripe on the tree, if they start to ripen up, if I want to keep a ripe one, I've got to be quicker than the birds, otherwise the birds get to keep it. And so just along here I've got something else that actually came from New Zealand last time I was in New Zealand. and I'd been hunting for it here. I'd bought some seed and it didn't grow at all, but my brother-in-law Phil gave me this from just one little bunch, and I've separated the roots out and propagated them. This is comfrey, which is a fabulous plant to have in the garden. You've got to be careful where you plant it because they tell me it takes over, and this certainly, since I've put it in the ground, has just really taken off. So I've got a couple of those there, but they'll be fine along this embankment. They'll help hold the bank in place, and then I can just chop it and drop it onto the garden as another good form of really good, rich, organic additive to the garden. There's so many good aspects to comfrey that will help the garden to really continue to enrich the organics that are in the soil. So I'm looking forward to that. I've got 3 more in pots up there. One of them I'll keep in a pot and keep dividing it so I can keep propagating it, and the rest of it I'll continue to plant along here and then a little bit down the back as well to really fill in some areas that are a bit problematic, but difficult to grow other stuff. But the comfrey will be free to grow there and to really take as much space as it needs, and we've got plenty of space, so that's all good. And then coming back up in this direction towards the pizza oven again, we've got some steps. I put some steps in when we were first here because the ground slopes and they're a little bit need of repair now, but then it comes around to this little area here that's nice and shady all day, and we've got a fire pit there that's nice at this time of the year, so just down from the house, and it's nice and peaceful, lovely place to enjoy the view at any time of the day now because there's so much shade here. It's just really delightful. It's really nice to enjoy even when it's quite hot. And then back up to the area here, which is the main lawn, the main part in front of our home. And so down the bottom here we've got a couple of guest rooms, and then upstairs is our room and my porch up in the corner there that I really enjoy. That's where I spend a lot of time in the evenings. And then we've got these trees here. I don't know what they are. We call them our red flowering trees. And there's 3 of them. The one at the end and this one here a little bit younger, but this one here is about 6 years old. And they've just grown so big. It's incredible. And got them. This one's got some black pepper. This is a black pepper vine that hopefully will start giving us some pepper soon, and there's orchids there that will flower again. And so all of these trees are less than 6.5 years old. Oh, looks like we've got some orchids coming in here. They will be opening up soon. I'll keep my eye on those. But yeah, the trees here are only just around 6 years old or younger, and they've just grown up so rapidly and really changed the whole feel and look of our garden. So I'll come upstairs now to the porch and give you a quick look at the porch. This is where this is my living room. This is where I come to chill in the evenings. And we have, of course, we've got stuff growing up here as well. A little nursery area, a few plants and some cacti. And oh, we've even got some flowers here. So these ones have been open for a day or 2 now. On these, I think they call them monkey tail cactus, quite lovely. And yeah, as you can see, here's our red flowering trees way up here, blocking the view a little bit, but that's okay because they're also producing nice shade for the house so it doesn't get so hot along here. And then we've got plans over here to put in a bar or a bench here, and in this area here we did have some plants growing up here, but it's just an empty space at the moment. So here's the view in the evening from our home. It's actually quite delightful, quite lovely. We might get a nice sunset tonight, I think. Yep, and here's Lamia again. She's abandoned her sand pile and come up here And there's Wawa, our other little dog here too, and they like to come up here because they can see when my wife's coming home, and that's something that they always enjoy. They always look forward to that. And actually, I just remembered I was going to go this way and go down these back stairs, because this is where the other bamboo is that I planted a while ago. Oh, and I have to sit down here next to this lovely girl. This is Wawa. Hey, it's all right. Oh, she's a little bit frightened. She's a stray that we kind of picked up for a while ago. She was living in the field up the road. Anyway, there's the bamboo. That's the other bamboo that I planted that I've really thrilled with the way this is growing. It's growing much better than the other bamboo room circle, the spiral that I planted. And this bamboo down here was planted a lot later. But the other little dog, she was a stray. She was living under the trees in the orchard up the road, and we realised that she was pregnant, and she had 8 puppies, and then we took her to the vet so she won't have puppies anymore. And my lovely wife photographed all 8 puppies and put their photos up on Facebook and wrote nice things about them, and she managed to find homes for all of them. So we're quite thrilled about that. That's quite a while ago now. But she's still a bit timid. She's still a bit sort of frighty and flinches away from me even sometimes still. But she has now started to even come up and welcome our guests when the other dogs do that. So this is now in front of the family house. So this is the front of the other small house. Oh, and here's the pigeon again. And so this has a fabulous view looking out across the fields and up into the mountains, and it's quite delightful. And then to come back up to the front of the section again, so this is our neighbour's land, and this is all rice fields. So during the rainy season, when we don't actually get many guests, this looks the best. And so I'm always encouraging people to come back in the rainy season because it always looks the most beautiful. And then up at the top of the section behind the family house, this is a very important part of the garden. This is the water storage. So we've got a couple of tanks for the water to come into the house, and that comes from a bore down there by the chetty. And then this other tank here is water that comes from a reservoir. I think the same source as the canal, maybe slightly different one, but this is supplying us with the water that helps us keep clean and do the laundry and stuff like that. And then the tank that is for the garden is imperative, because at this time of the year it's not raining at all, and so we've got to water the garden, and it's great to have no worries about the amount of water and that we have, because there never seems to be much of a shortage. So it's an abundance of water, and it's not expensive, so it allows us to enjoy keeping our garden well watered. So there it is. There's a little bit of a walk around the garden, and to give you some idea of what we're doing and the types of things that we do here and how we enjoy our life in the garden at Suan Sook with our dogs and with our bird. So looking forward to the future of planting more trees. We haven't got a lot more space, but I've recently become aware of the moringa tree. That is one that we can get here, and I want to plant a few of those so we can make use of the leaves, and the goodness of the moringa leaves is something that I'm just discovering about at the moment, but it seems like it will grow very well and really help us with a more healthy additive to our diet. And then of course experimenting with growing different types of vegetables and continuing to grow different types of vegetables. I want to see if I can try and have vegetables growing in our garden all year round, and I haven't managed to do that yet because it can be kind of challenging, especially through the hot dry season, through March, April and May before the rains come. And even during the beginning of the rainy season it can be pretty hard too, because it can be so wet, and when the rice is planted on the section over here, then it does affect, the seepage does affect our garden, and it can get a bit wet. I've put some drainage in, so that's helped it. But I'll just continue to try different things and plant different things in different places. I'd really love to be able to grow an abundance of tomatoes, so We can use Uncle Leo's tomatoes to make the sauce for our pizzas. We certainly do with some of it, but I'd love to be able to do that year round, but we'll see how we go. It's a lot of work and I don't have enough time, never have enough time in the garden, but do really enjoy it. And then, yeah, just keeping focused on being permaculture inspired is what I like to say. I'm not a hardcore permaculturist, but really inspired. And the whole idea of regenerative gardening and doing things organically and as naturally as possible really appeals to us. So this is what we're aiming to do. And then one more thing that I really want to get into in 2024 is to create more art in the garden. I've got a few bits and pieces, I've got a few things that I've designed. Even the shape and the layout of the garden beds in the vegetable garden is a little bit creative. And just a few more things like that, but I want to start doing stuff probably more with bamboo because we've got quite a bit of that, and to start building and creating some structures in the garden made from bamboo and anything like that, any idea of how I can grow things in a more creative way so they look appealing as well as tasting good or smelling good or for whatever we're growing. To make it as creative as possible and to bring a different dimension of enjoyment to the garden with more garden art. Like I said, I've got a couple of bits and pieces in there, but nothing much, but it's something that I was thinking about a while ago. What can I do that I can add another layer of enjoyment to life in the garden? And I really enjoy making art. I do a lot of wood carving, mostly in the evening and mostly smaller pieces. But I'd like to make some bigger pieces, whether it's wood carving or creating art from other materials, but just to add a bit more dimension, a bit more dynamic to the gardens here at our Suan Sook homestay so that we can enjoy it and that when we have guests, that our guests can enjoy it too. So there's the tour of the Suan Sook homestay garden at the beginning of 2024. We're expecting to have a really good year. Feeling really positive about it and hoping that you'll have a good year as well and that you'll keep enjoying watching the videos that we're producing. Cheers and thanks for watching.